Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Unified Proving Ground circuit, as we just got to see one heck of a game come out from Winthrop here. Drops out in the chat, it seems, as they take a very commanding game one.
Travesty, I think that phrase is better suited for Twitch chat.
Is it better suited for Twitch chat? I can't say it.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's allowed here. But you know what? You're right, man. Winthrop with the upset in game one. Pretty exciting stuff. They've got Immortals AOE on match point now with a really cool game as well. They got the Kazakhs in there.
It was fantastic. They were able to get it in there and really show exactly what this team can do individually amongst themselves. I do want to highlight this draft because like you were talking about the Kazakhs, but we also saw some interesting things. You were talking about the priority they actually put. They first picked Jinx for IMT AOE, and you looked at it like, okay, hold on, why is there this priority here?
Yeah, the second they locked in Jinx when they were blue side first pick, I was really confused. I kind of get it because Jinx can be a comfort pick, but obviously it really showed that Caitlyn, especially Caitlyn is just so much more high value than Jinx right now, and it's such a much better blind pick. That's the more important part, and it's just I think that's where the downhill started for IMA is them prioritizing Jinx over Caitlyn.
Mm-hmm. With the Caitlyn given over as well, that champion, when you get a lead, is so good at taking all of the dragons in the game. You have so much zone control over the river, especially on a red side where the Drake pit opens up to you as well. And I think that was a really big contributing factor to Winthrop getting all 4 dragons in a row, and even the Elder Dragon by the end as well. It really accelerated the pace of everything, and getting the Mountain Soul denied away when you're playing these assassins like the Kazakhs and the Vex is really good.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, it's one of those things too where they played so well with the draft that they had, but it also shows why they're the reigning champions of Collegiate right now. That's a big thing to take note of. And even though they have this very fresh-faced roster, right? All these players for the most part are new to this roster. They came in here and popped off across the board. There was no player that I felt like was having to get carried along for the journey. They were all hiking along with each other.
Yeah, and we have a pretty good example of all of them popping off as well, specifically at 5 minutes into that game. There were so many plays happening all at once that we couldn't see them all, and everybody was getting in on the action. There were so many kills going over to Winthrop. We just gotta take a look at this. So first of all, we have the bot lane play, where things get started pretty well for Immortals. Trevor has a really nice play right away, but they kill the support instead of Vex. So Vex gets to stay alive, and he gets a trade kill back onto Meech. So Vex, as the marksman, is still getting all the resources, all the gold and experience. Meanwhile, his opponent is not anywhere near. So this does snowball the game into Caitlyn actually getting this really big lead like I was talking about before.
Yeah, it was the perfect storm, I would definitely say. It was chaotic across the table. A successful gank happens in the mid lane, right? From the Kazakhs into the mid lane with the Vets. And then over in the top lane, my bud, dude. Absolutely just terrifying in the top lane on that Darius was something that the Ornn was not ready for, as he was absolutely a terror. But talking about that, Winthrop didn't have the forever clean game, right? They thrived in the chaos, but once the chaos kind of settled a bit, they kind of were dancing around, trying to find that moment. And once we got into about that 25-minute mark here, we did get to see that moment, that opportunity present itself finally for Winthrop. If you would, we do have a replay of exactly what was a big moment where Winthrop just kind of took the game by storm here.
Yeah, right here. Darius got a really good flash hook here, and honestly, Dragon was coming up, and this is the only way that Winthrop could have ever gotten this Dragon for free if they didn't have 5 mids like Winthrop did, which was really important here. And I think that's just decided the game is over by there.
Yeah, it's just over. You don't have the priority around it, and it becomes a rough spot. And I think it was a really cool thing to highlight. Winthrop actually got the first Herald and got every single dragon that spawned inside of this. So they were really good about controlling these objectives. And when we're looking at somebody playing an assassin jungler like this, who's coming in, popping off, evolving stealth first on Kha'Zix, just in and out on the map. I mean, what just a fantastic performance from Winthrop.
Yeah, pretty unique stuff there from the jungle on the Kha'Zix comfort and all of that. But yeah, just right before that play happened as well that we just watched, they were catching Immortals AOE out on some pretty rough positioning as well, and different lane allocations. We saw just before that Trevor was forced to push up really far to try to get some mid lane priority, led to him getting picked out. They tried to scrounge up what was left with the Ornn ultimate to try to get any re-engage, didn't find anything. All those resources left, it was really easy for them to blow up the game, the Baron, get the Drake Soul. Everything was really easy from there. So yeah, really nice transition from that snowballed lead into the mid game. Well, like you're saying, it did take them a bit of time. It wasn't, picture perfect, but it did get them there, and it was a really valuable upset now, where they are at match point.
They're at match point, and the big thing now to highlight is how does IMT AOE find their way back into this? Avril, I want to go ahead and talk to you about it, because we were talking about the Jinx first pick that was coming out from these squads here. I want to see exactly what they possibly could have in regards to it. The side selection, I believe, is going to be Immortals AOE is going to take red side for game number 2. So they're swapping over to red side. Is there anything that you're looking to see them adapt now that they're not having that first pick and not getting possibly baited?
I think now they have to ban Caitlyn. I mean, it's been permabanned or picked this like whole event for a reason, and they need to really respect that pick way more than they did this game.
100% agree on that. And Matt, how are you feeling right now? Are you on the Mabud hype train on him doing some work, or are you looking at the mid lane, that solo kill that happened from the vets? Is that something that IMT needs to be a little bit more concerned about?
Yeah, well, less concerned now that they are on red side, right? They actually do get the counter picks for this one. They don't have to worry nearly as much about getting slammed with the Darius counter or the Vex blind on R3 as well. It becomes a lot easier for them to maneuver on this red side. So I think they made a great choice. Fully agree with Avril. You do need to ban Caitlyn this time around. I'm sure they learned that lesson. I think we're probably going to get to a state where it's 1-1, just like we had yesterday in both of our series on the stream.
Right, I think so as well, and I'm excited to see what is going to happen, and the only way to see it is on the fields of justice. So ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna send it over to our casters, as Orbital and RMC are gonna bring us into game number 2.
All right, we're ready to go. Ready for game number 2 after what you called is the affiliation curses. I think at this point, game 1's just kind of knocking us out of the park. I have to say at this point, and Winthrop, analysts has said thriving in chaos, and I say it is chaos of their own making.
True. I think Winthrop played that well, and sure, they did do very well, especially those chaotic not front-to-back fights, but they did it a lot of times by their own will. They disrupted a lot of those battle lines, and now going into game 2, you heard a lot of the analysts that's talking about red side here, the fact that they do get counter pick, they don't get first pick. Now, Avril mentioned game 1 she didn't want to see Jhin coming through on that red side for Winthrop, and they didn't do it. They won. Now Avril is calling for ban Kate on red side for Immortals AOE here. I'm curious to see if they do opt to do that. They've banned the Jinx out immediately, and I feel like if you're banning the Jinx at this point, you've almost got to waste 2 bans here. 1 for the Kate, 1 for the Jinx.
And taking a look here, that might be the option. Of course, Winthrop, something that we also get to see that's kind of brand new, is a 3rd ban. Right? We get to see a 3rd ban come out for them. Woo! Anyway, looking at the Victor and Hecarim, I do like these bans as well. I think you were curious about some of the previous ones that were thrown over when Immortals AOE was on their side, on the blue side, so that'll be fun to see swapped up. 2nd ban with ADCs off the table, though.
Yeah, 2 ADCs, I mean, what we kind of expected here, and Winthrop respecting the Vex, the very same Vex that Ivano used to kick off all the action from Winthrop, because we said last game, you win that mid lane, it enables your side lanes, which are already supposed to win. This time, they don't want to let Immortals have the risk of R3ing that, picking it safely, and then banning out the counters. My goodness, Immortals. This is respect to Vex here. Triple AD carry bans, and Jin is still open as well.
Watch it be a shadow pick. Watch it be a shadow ban. Just listen. Jin, first pick up here. Just send it to Meech. Force Vex to drop to what is at that point a 5th pick ADC. That is dropping all the way down in the pool. We'll see if that works, but Winthrop, go ahead, prioritize the Lulu coming out here. That'll be very, very fun to see utilize, and I'm curious what ADC they'll pair it with. Again, a lot of the hyperscalers, but there it is, right? The shadow ban coming out against Vex. This is insane to see.
Okay. This tells me certain things, because I feel like if you're picking the Jin here for Meech as well, maybe we get to see a bit more topside carry coming through. We saw Mabud get to carry on the Darius. Let's not forget Anime Girl is just as capable of carrying as well. Anime Girl has a Darius game under their belt. Gwen is another option they can look at here. Originally, I was thinking maybe an Ezreal pickup to deny that away and force Vex back to that Jin, but the Ezreal is still open if they want to go for that. I know it's not something that we think of necessarily paired with a Lulu, but I think Lulu is just such a all-round strong support right now that you can afford to pair almost any AD carry with it.
It's just hopefully they do a little bit more auto attack damage. That'll be really, really nice to see. Utilize all the shields, the attack speed buffs, and everything of the sort. But the Jin Karma lane matchup, again, rotating towards that. The hover of the Misfortune, I have seen this in some of the I think, open qualifier games that we've seen. It is the Lulu Misfortune, very, very dominating lane stance, especially against the likes of a Jin who won't really be able to trade back as powerfully as some other ADCs.
Yeah, not to mention for the Jin as well, you're not attacking the most mobile of AD carries, so Misfortune can absolutely run you down. When that bullet time starts to come across, it's very difficult for Jin to get to safety. You can't curtain call back during that period, and for Winthrop, considering how they won in game 1, they won through early game. Misfortune, right up there, and once again, they're going to run it back with Morty on the Kazakhs, because it certainly didn't look like Immortals AOE had an answer to the Kazakhs in game 1 here. Now it's R3 for Immortals AOE. Generally speaking, they pick their jungler here. Do they want to try and counter that Kazakhs? What can Winston use to try and counter this Kazakhs?
Anything, right? That is something that I think was kind of crazy, and instead they're opting to take the Syndra. Now, this does worry me. Again, I am personally a big fan of mirror matching a lot of the picks. The reason for that is you don't have kind of hard skewing second bans come out, but it happens more often than not, right? My question for that is Immortals AOE now have to deal with the fact that most likely Winthrop are just going to send 2 bans straight into the jungle, force that matchup even more in Mortio's favor, right?
Potentially, but I do think the jungle pool right now is large enough that you can't really ban out. I mean, you got to throw maybe like a Lee Sin ban in there, maybe an Olaf ban in there. Winston has done amazing things on it, and for an Olaf into a Kha'Zix, if your Kha'Zix doesn't burst down the Olaf immediately, well, you're going to lose the extended fight here. So, okay, I see what Immortals AoE is doing here, and you pick the Syndra early as well. It's a fairly safe lane pick. You get a lot of pressure as well, and you're trying to deny away Winthrop's ability to pick riskier mid lanes, assassin mid lanes to pair with that Kha'Zix here. The Kindred being taken away, it makes a lot of sense. Stops them from being able to save themselves from the burst with the Lamb's Respite there.
Going to go ahead and take that one off the field. Of course, the massive assassin bans here. Akali being banned away. I didn't see it banned in game 1. Neither was the Echo. So hard shifting in terms of where they want to throw the bans. So far, IMA have quite literally said, Vex and Ivano, have fun. That is our gift to you right there. That'll be really, really interesting. Winthrop might be able to fire back. Is this going to be a second jungle ban? Yes, it will. Graves opted to be taken off the board.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, Winston still has options here, and I'm assuming, yeah, there we go, the Lee Sin that we were talking about. Makes sense. Just I feel like Lee Sin right now is the default jungler. Like, oh, it's up? Sure, why not, right? Like, it does everything well. It can handle the Kha'Zix perfectly fine. And yeah, I was going to say, the problem is you ban the Akali, you ban the Echo. You're removing assassins. But these are very like niche assassins. They're still the more common ones, right? LeBlanc, Kha'Zix, that's still an absolute kill lane. And yes, LeBlanc isn't exactly the greatest lane into Syndra. Syndra can always, push you away. You have the burst potential. When you press that R, the decoy, the Mirage, the illusion clone from LeBlanc won't save you whatsoever. So it's not the worst matchup, but it's still going to be rough for Shoji unless we see a lot of jungle pressure. I'm far more curious, Orbital, about what top laners get picked up, because as you pointed out, Anime Girl gets counterpicked this time. But if he blinds something like a Darius here, he can absolutely get punished. And with that Jhin pickup, it is something that can enable a more bruiser-esque top. Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, hold on. I know I've spoken for a long time, but I have to talk about this. Anime Girl, I love you. I love your Gwen specifically. I just spoke to Anime Girl about this yesterday. I absolutely love his Gwen. He will blind it, and this time he ain't blinding it. He's going into this eyes wide open here, and he's gonna put on his carry pants.
I love it. It has to be kind of that tip of the hat, right, to you RMC saying, hey, listen, we talked about it before. I'll throw it in for good measure, and I think there's no better time to bring it out here, right? Number one, Winthrop University won off of the early game. If there's any time to bring out a carry, if there's any time to kind of swing that flow of the match back in your favor, it's right now. This is the best time to bring out that champion that forces the opponent to readjust not only their picks, but also their bans in the potential game number 3.
Yeah, and Gwen as well is a strong pick into the Camille, especially in isolated lanes. So not only is Anime Girl on a comfort pick, he's on a winning matchup. And we said before, you need some winning lanes. Immortal AOE, they've completely adapted to that, right? You've got the Syndra in the mid lane now. Syndra Lee Sin, post 6 is another kill lane. Just got to survive the early a little bit, and you'll be perfectly fine. And early, I just mean 6 levels. I'm not talking about this time, 2-item power spike, 20 minutes into the game, something like that. The only sort of worry I have now is this bot lane for the side of Immortal AOE. And for that reason, I'm very curious to see whether Winston decides to try and cover this weak lane starting top side, or whether you kind of go, Meech, Trevor, you two are a good duo. I trust you guys to survive on your own. Because even last game, when they were being pressured, let's not forget, Meech was still up CS, or even in CS. It wasn't until later in the game where everything fell apart. You can leave that bot lane and play to your top side and sit saying, I'm going to play to our strengths here. 2 Anime Girl who should win their lane, 2 Shochi who post 6 can be just as good, just as strong, a point of strength. And for Winthrop, same questions as well. For Mordio, Mordio can gank any lane they want. Top side, it's the same thing as the bot side. It's mirrored. That's your weak lane. Are you going to reinforce that, or are you going to play to your strength? Honestly, knowing Mabud, I'm more partial to saying leave Mabud alone on that island there early. He can play weak side. He's great at it. Go get Ivano ahead again, because that was how they won game 1.
Yeah, and not just Ivano getting ahead. We didn't get to touch on this before, and I love that you segued into this, because I pointed out specifically, as a mid lane fan myself, and especially with some of the hype that's been surrounding Shochi among some of the analysts and casters, we were curious to see how Shochi would play. Ivano, we even said at the beginning, had a little bit of a rough time in the Swiss bracket, was looking like not one of the strongest. Here, I believe 2 solo kills. If I'm not mistaken, it was 1 solo kill at the beginning. Everyone saw it. Yes, first blood. Second one, I believe it was a minor interaction with the jungler to come in to help clean up, but it was 2-0 at one point. Ivano being the main culprit of it.
Yeah, and you know what? Ivano, we said, was kind of dangled as bait by Winthrop throughout most of their OQs here. This time, they've turned it on its head. And in the immortal words of Star Wars, it's a trap. Don't go to the mid lane anymore. They knew you were coming for them when they blind picked that Vex, and they played it really well. And this time with the LeBlanc, again, it's still the same thing. Mid jungle is going to be spicy here, Orbital. There's a lot of kill threat, and it's going to be a lot about which jungler is there, which 2v2 is set up, and vision control. I want to see vision control. Last game, vision was spotty, to say the least, in the laning phase there. A lot of it was focused on objectives. Last game was about objectives. And this game, I still don't think it's going to be about objectives for the most part. It's going to be about kills. Get your kill, get your objective. That's how I want to see game 2 roll out.
It's going to be really, really interesting, because I think that's also something else we kind of have to touch on. With how slow pace that game 1 went. And when I say slow pace, I mean it, right? It felt so slow because we only had like 2 major team fights. One of the, I want to say one of the lower kill counts. I know you're looking at me incredulously, but it felt a little bit slower in terms of action-packed, right? It wasn't as bloody as some of the others. RC, am I blind here? Are you calling me blind? Are you calling me blind? All right, whatever anyone else is saying here, but all right, listen. You are making me look bad here on camera. You're making me look bad. I'll take it. For me, though, it did feel a little bit interesting to watch, and I can't wait to see if that happens here again, or where the action breaks out, if we're going to see that craziness of the opening sets, right? I think it was 4-1 right at the beginning before we got into that kind of farming lull. So as we do get onto the Rift, the teams have swapped sides, but we're saying still here at home on the Rift.
Oh, bro, I'm just gonna say, I ain't saying you're blind. I'm just saying that you won't be happy till the rivers run red. Because Travesty called it chaos, man. There was fighting everywhere. Kills aplenty from Winthrop's side as well. So, you know what? That's fine. Yeah, play-by-play. I get it. And game 2, we're set up to have more action as well. Still, tons of kill pressure. And this time, it's not even just a safe 5-point start. We're already seeing aggression trying to take control of that river. A little bit of poke back and forth, and that does come at the expense of that lane safety. We're not seeing any wards in the lane this game.
This is going to be a little bit more lined, at least in the early stages here. And I like the fact that Shochi was trying to tag around here. Just kind of search for a little bit of damage. Anything can go. And of course, in the mid lane, as stated before, it is the Corrupting Potions start. I believe at the beginning of game 1, they were completely out of any sort of healing options by about level 2. I think that's how aggressive they went.
Yep, 100%. I mean, that first blood we saw had them both down to slivers. The burning of the Corrupting Pot really made the difference there between the two of them, and it looks like they are happy to run it back here. Both these mid laners want to fight, but hello? What is this we see here? IMT AoE on the invade. They're gonna get spotted.
Thankfully, Vex throws down that ward, says, okay, know what you're doing here. We know the cheeky seal is coming through. This might force a vertical jungle scenario. However, Mabud forced to walk the other way.
Ghosting.
Anime Girl getting a little bit
This is
of
first
an
blood.
advantage. Yeah, no flash, no nothing. Ghost FTW. Anime Girl at level 1. It's a first blood.
Anime Girl, you're supposed to raise the white flag when you're losing, not when you're winning, my friend. Great rundown, and this is, I think people have forgotten that Gwen is still very strong at that level 1 against melee laners for the most part here. Yes, it got nerfed, but it's still super, super strong, and Mabud has to burn TP incredibly early here to get back to lane, and with Winston's pathing, they can look for an early gank at top lane and really set Mabud behind.
Out setting lanes behind here. Meech and Trevor trying to set this Lulu and Misfortune behind by an early level 2 aggression. Kenji having to pop one of those biscuits, I believe, here. So that'll be fun to kind of keep eyes on as well. IMT AoE looking to give the same sort of treatment that they got in game 1 right back.
And Orbital, remember we were talking about jungle pathing? Where are the junglers going to go? Are they playing to strong or weak? It looks like they're both playing to their strong sides here to try and get things going. Winston, actually, never mind. Forget it. Winston's coming back here. They didn't actually spot Mordio doing this, so this is just instinct from Winston here.
Yeah, going right over the wall. Level 3 versus level 3. Different types of buffs, and it is going to be stolen. Mordio able to pick up 2 Blue Bloods in a row, but might have to flash over the wall. Is going to burn it early. Meech, no W to come out. So Mordio able to stall out a little bit for the clear Winston.
Okay, so this is interesting because yes, a successful steal away from Mordio, but it came at the expense of Flash, and Winston full clear top side. Mordio did not manage to full clear bot side, so Mordio is actually behind in terms of jungle camps right now, and that's going to force Mordio to look at the lanes instead, ganks to try and catch back up. Is that a disadvantage? Normally, yes. For Mordio, no. That's just what he's going to do anyways here, and for IMT AoE, I want to see them play with that awareness in mind that they're likely going to get ganked very, very soon.
It does happen, or he's predicting Winthrop, of course. After Mabud did fall early on, looking to try and recuperate some of that top lane loss. Mabud keeping up in CS at least, so managing that well. And of course, for this game number 2, 3P to game number 1, Ocean Dragon to be the first dragon to spawn.
Even the gods over at Riot here have decided, you know what, we're going to give IMT AoE a chance to run this back here. Winston, he snuck in here.
Yeah, and a very early flash means Trevor does get the root. A nice catch, but a body block coming out from
enough?
Kenji is going to force that kill to come through a little bit closer than normal and actually allows
Kenji, don't do it.
for the return. Kenji, though, eats the last shot from Meech. That is going to be the kills. And then 1 apiece to Meech and Trevor.
Not worth Orbital. That's a little bit rough to see. It's worth noting Sir Kenji actually has the 5th highest kills of all supports right now after OQs, and that's why Kenji went in for the kill. But you're a support picking up that kill. You gave a second kill over the way of IMT AoE, and I believe that was the one that actually went over to Meech. So now that bot lane is going to be a little bit tougher once again for Winthrop. And Winthrop, considering they won lane one game, has to be back up your mind that you don't want to give away free lanes like that. Top's already winning. Mid is still in flux, but bot is looking in your favor.
And we get to see kind of the pathing here from Winston. It was a pretty long trek, but not hitting that Scryers and went to look for it. Look at Trevor's response, though. I very much like this flash.
Yeah, the aggressive engage on it as well. I was actually a bit worried they couldn't find the kill to get out, but they did. And because actually Winston took that extra shot, it ended up baiting Kenji back into it. Yep, it is the kill over to Meech from Kenji there. That might yet come back to bite them in this bot lane. If Winston comes back down once more, they can really secure that lead. And then IMT AOE, they've got the side lanes. They only ever have to worry about that mid lane. And they'll have full control of both objectives. As I say that, Winston, are you going back bot?
Winston's thinking about it, but the dragon looks a little bit more juicy here. Again, keep in mind Winthrop completely cleared out dragons in game number 1, right? It was a complete shutout, 4-0 in terms of that. IMT AOE don't even want to take that chance. They say, listen, our turn to get the dragons, our turn to get all of those global objectives and start ramping up those permanent buffs for ourselves.
My kind of jungler, prioritizing objectives, not yours because not enough kills, but they might still look for this Kenji. Yeah. No flash.
No flash, and an immediate flash from Meech, who still had it. Now it's going to follow up with a potential set of more. Mordio, though, able to fire right back. Nope, Vex is going to take that one, and a nice double up means Meech and Winston have to walk away with sub 300 health.
So, kills answered back and forth there. Now Vex on the board with that particular kill. Mordio on this Kha'Zix is an issue. It feels like everywhere we see Mordio, if he can actually get to the lane, get to the fight, he's getting kills. The burst is so high right now. And so bot lane stabilized. Winthrop able to keep that one perfectly fine. In the meantime, top side, which we haven't looked in for a while, Mabud, I said he's an amazing weak side player. He's managed to stabilize top as well after giving over that first death.
Going for that Sheen early. Probably gave him a little bit of trading aggro as well. Anime Girl, understandably, might not have that same set of damage, but guess who does? Trevor, full health, and Ivano hasn't recalled yet, so Trevor trying to hold the lane, says get out of here. Trying to get a little bit of damage, and that is going to be, of course, time being used, and Vex goes ahead and recalls with 62 CS in the pocket.
Yeah, it looks like for the side of Winthrop, they're resetting here. Herald is about to spawn, so I'm curious if they're going to send people up there, you know, brute force that with numbers, because honestly, what we kind of found towards the end of 2021 was that first Herald often is worth more than first Dragon here, but doesn't look like it. Mordio's wrong side of the map, and instead, Immortals AOE, they are the ones with the objective timer in mind. Winston wants to make sure they're clean on objectives this game.
Even bringing down Anime Girl, making sure that they're sitting in the river, making sure that if they have to rotate, they can't get it. On the bot side, though, a little bit of time to push, and is going to go ahead and walk forward. Go ahead, see kind of the sweeping through here, knows that the Herald is down, so maybe you can get a camp or two.
Look at that pink ward that we see just barely on the tip of the screen there in the bush orbital. That's a little bit scary, and it's not cleared out because Mordio is using that as a stalking horse. If they spot out Trevor in rotation, if they spot anybody in rotation there, Mordio is going to go in for that kill. And if you don't, then you start setting up for a bot lane dive. Meech, very, very squishy, and if ever you get an isolated target down there, this dive from Mordio into the bot lane is going to be so easy.
And you can see, I think Meech kind of knows that, right? Throwing out a lot of far defensive wards in the back, even utilizing, I believe it was one of the blooming kind of AoE sets right there, right? Capabilities to keep a minimal vision at best. Winston, though, opting for the top side. Mabud's died once. This could be the second. Summoner Spell's up, but no escape, so here they go. Auto attacks in, starting off with the kick to secure that close range battle. Winston, though, able to flash away, and once again, defying death. This time, for sure.
I gotta admit, Winston's really clean on these dives, and that he gets out with very fine margins. And that works out great when there's nobody to back you up. But bot side, there was backup, and now Mordio.
Oh, perfect polymorph to allow Mordio to come in. Might not get Meech, though, as the curtain call is used. Vex should be able to tank up most of this. Was completely full health. Waiting for the shot. Ooh, tried to curve the bullet. This is not wanted.
You know what? It's fine. I'm just more surprised that Trevor got popped non-isolated, but I guess, to be fair, Trevor wasn't terribly healthy. IMT AOE were able to answer on the other side of the map. And let's not forget here, Meech doesn't have to be the carry condition. If you can be as a Jhin, that's nice. But your scaling is not going to match the likes of Anime Girl here on the Gwen. So more than happy to give gold over that way there, extend that lane. And Winston, I love what Winston's been doing there. Going to the top side, he's been so active on the map here. Now you've helped up top lane. Hey, mid lanes are way past 6. Ults are unleashed. I want to start seeing some attention into that mid lane as well.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is remember, even though LeBlanc can be very scary later on, there are two ways to kind of shut down a LeBlanc, right? One is you kill her. Yes, that's the easy way. The second way is you just don't allow her to roam or get any influence on the map, right? So, Ivano being stuck in mid is actually working. Winston just saying, hey, let's pull all the attention to other lanes, and all you have to do, Shochi, in the mid lane, keep farming up, right? Don't die, keep farming up, be that stunner that we need later on, and it feels like Winthrop's proposition at that point kind of shut down.
Yeah, and that's a lot of times why we do see the Syndra being picked into the likes of a LeBlanc as, not say a hard counter pick, but something that can match. Oh, that ward's still there, and Winston!
Oh, once he gets polymorphed, that's immediately going to call the call out, and
he's safe.
Mordio does get kicked away. And Ivano getting a few chains down.
Yep, Winston gets out alive, but look what spawned. Dragon was up and ready here, and the moment the jungler has to be forced out, that is usually a free-ish Dragon, because Winston's coming back for round 2.
But Ivano this time is actually going to run an interference, and with the isolation, it should be Kha'Zix getting it. No,
can he steal
1K looking for it. Spike goes down. They are going to get away.
Oh.
Nope, can't get away from an unleashed power. Shochi, as you're going to pay for that Dragon.
But Dragon was secured for Winthrop there. And you do need to be careful about Dragon stacking the soul. Gonna be Hex stack here, and that means faster map movement. Vex, good dodge.
Good dodge out. Easy Gale Force. That does mean that bot lane, though, is going to feel the weight of the tower plates going down as Anime Girl had actually opted to teleport in as well. Let me kind of mention, and Kenji and Vex actually walked up knowing that this is 4 members strong in the bot lane. You do have a teleport from a Bud. Don't know if it's going to be used. Yes, they're going to call it down now, and that should be enough to deter. They're going to get any more, though. Trevor having to burn Flash to get away as he took a little longer route. Ivano coming in. Nice distortion on top. That's going to be a great wall growth, and they get the kill. Mabud gets one. The Enemy Girl slicing through everyone. Snip means that the Seamstress is on the hunt. That is going to be a trade back and forth, though. Just one death apiece. Curtain Call opening up and low HP under the tower. 1, 2, 3. Possible 4 scout of the week means it's a wash in the bot lane as Immortals AOE take so many lives.
Oh my goodness, there's slaughter. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. And okay, I'm going to butcher this reference. So if you watch anime, please feel free to correct me. This ain't your waifu. This is, I believe the term is yandere, is what we're seeing here coming through from Anime Girl.
RC, I love you, but come on, man.
Mordio on the hunt, trying to find something on the back end, but it just feels like it's too little too late. Meech?
Gonna go for it. And again, Mordio is strong, but no isolation damage means you have to walk away, because that is a very, very powerful Jhin. Thankfully, the shield is there, and Meech gonna walk away, feeling pretty happy.
Okay, Orbital. Does that satisfy your craving for kills?
Almost. I want more because Kenji walks in. Kenji walks in and says, I agree, Orbital. I want to see a bit more. Walks right back out. All right. No one dies just yet, but I am enjoying the absolute aggression coming down here now.
Denied. Everybody survived. Okay.
Yeah.
So lots of action there, Orbital, and that does change the nature of things. We're seeing Anime Girl now 4-0-2 is allowed to dive. There's nobody who can match this split push coming through from the Gwen, and that is terrifying. On the other side of the map, Meech and Trevor are hitting a point right now where if you're not throwing Ivano and Mordio down there, you're not guaranteed to win. We saw him handle Mordio fairly comfortably, and Winston is strong on the map, and more importantly, he's mobile. If he starts roaming with Shochi here, they can really start forming a roaming gang squad where they can dive you into turret repeatedly.
Might as well do it. It's shown that it's worked already, so just rinse and repeat is the call. Question, of course, though, is what can they clear out Shochi in a duel of Ivano trying to dip, duck, and dodge. Great distortion back. Unleashed power, though, landing and drawing Ivano's health. That's going to be a distortion in, and Avano says
round
thank
two.
you. Winston, though, gonna walk right up and potentially take that kill. Easy does it. Winston gets the rebuttal.
Okay, I have a request from the producers if we could get a replay of that particular fight, because that was beautiful to watch 2v2. Mordio, though, once again going from each.
Yeah, says all the actions in the bot lane. What about the Rift Herald or the Baron Pit? Over the wall goes Anime Girl, though, wants to add a little bit of flair to this. Great punch out, but doesn't actually get anyone. Curtain Call, though, is enough.
Doesn't
Peach
matter.
is able to take one home. Can you get a bit more? Yes, you do! You find the double kill. Mabud is about to fall as well. Mordio is able to slam down the hammer, though. Shut down for the Kazakhs.
That's huge for Mordio to be able to pick that one up. And that was effectively a 2v3 for the most of that fight. Trevor went out really early there, and IMT AOE still able to answer back somewhat. You're seeing their strength, but they can't afford to keep getting caught out like that. Those are bounties being given over there. Now, ideally, IMT AOE tighten up their game a little bit here. You have your strength, and that is at this point Anime Girl in equal numbers. Don't put them at a disadvantage here, and they can continue split pushing.
Moving forward into this fight, and again, the one on your screen, Avano and Shochi went head to head with Avano barely coming out. One of the replays that we're hoping to see, of course, but now with everything kind of breaking down, even the mid, or even in the top side, right? Mordio trying to start steamrolling again, right? In game one, one of the what we felt was maybe not the major factor, but definitely one reasons why Winthrop were able to pull off that win. Trying to make that happen again. 2, 1, and 3 right now. Looking for a bit more of Avano still on the bot side though, dancing with Anime Girl.
Yeah, and Avano's mechanics have been absolutely beautiful there. But if you miss the chains against Anime Girl, this is not Shochi Syndra where you need to land skill shots. Oh, thank you, production! We get to watch it again. And look at the amount of sidesteps that are coming out here. It's not like Avano's able to land chains either. It just comes, unfortunately, to the fact that Avano has a little few more point and clicks, the distortion to do that. And okay, that's dirty. Winston, you interviewed him 1v1. He picks it up. But I just want to highlight the skill that we're seeing, the mechanical skill from Shochi and Avano here. And we knew Shochi was good, but Avano is making a massive case for himself as well.
Really saying, hey, listen, first games back earlier this week, we'll wipe it off. We'll start with a clean slate. This is the best way to do it, right? Doing very well for himself. Yes, still 1, 2, and 1 though. Has a bit more to work with. Overall score is 13-7, because I can count. Don't worry. IMT AOE gonna go ahead and knock down their third, and Anime Girl still running forward. That's gonna be the scout of the week, straight into the unleashed power of Avano. Stay alive. Live under the tower, though, flashing away from the next set of needles, and with the root under the tower, Anime Girl is gonna be taken quite low. Should not be enough to die. Avano defies death.
That dive was wholly unnecessary there, Orbital. If they had gotten the kill, it would have looked gorgeous, amazing. They get the turret, but they don't. And Avano looks great, and more importantly, they don't get the turret. Just forcing Avano out would have been sufficient there. Anime Girl at this point with the Riftmaker, and more importantly, the Gnasher's Tooth with lethal tempo is able to very quickly shred turrets as well. So, like I said, AoE IMT, they're playing fast and loose a little bit here with the lead that they have. Not ideal to see. Dragon, though, coming up in about 3.5 minutes, Baron in a minute, and that's when I want to see them really slow the pace down a little bit, play clean.
You know who's really going to enjoy this? In the top side, it is Anime Girl. Even in their own pit, it doesn't matter. Kill comes through, and now Shochi's alone. Shochi is alone under the tower. Wild Growth on Avano, who takes all the tower shots, and that is going to be 2 kills in the top lane for Winthrop.
And the TP from Avano to match as well. I think if Shochi, the initial TP from Shochi was fine, right? You're trying to build out Anime Girl there. You're hoping they could survive long enough. But the moment Avano showed up, Shochi was dead to rights. And Winthrop, they refused to die. They're making such good use, punishing these mistakes. And here's the replay here. Watch, actually, Avano is the one TPing first, and that's a mistake from Shochi. The moment you saw that TP, there's no way Anime Girl buys you enough time, and then you're stuck under 4v1.
God of the Week actually made sure that they couldn't get the tower as well, right? If I think if Mordio was able to get a little bit more health, we could have seen that tower go down, but instead, because Shochi was able to get at least something out at the very end, you still keep that top lane. The bounty is still active as well. But Winthrop, right? Still fighting for a few of those points. Doing amazing in that sense. Now the root on the Kenshi is going to have to walk away. And unfortunately, the ritual was actually placed out. I think Winston actually forgot that was there. But over the wall they go. Winston says it. Doesn't even matter. Shelly is going to take a nice little trek through the jungle. And we're going to get bot lane tower.
Yeah, they can push us in. Vano is still at risk here. Not safe just yet, but it's a LeBlanc. They distort back out. That's a free turret. And overall, for Winthrop, they've been, once again, thriving in the chaos. I want to talk more, but I can't. There's too much chaos.
Yeah, they heard me. They said, listen, fighting game 1 wasn't enough. Almost outplayed, but 2-1 still goes away Winthrop, but you still pay the price. Top lane, you did get Anime Girl, but you lose your inhibitor tower on the bot.
Mordio is still behind them here. If they're just waiting for numbers, Mordio gonna see if he can pick off anyone.
I think you can get Meech here. If you go into the clone, is going to zip around, is immediately going to pop out of stealth. Boom goes a little bit of dynamite. Only 1 stick, not 3 that we thought. And Meech gets the shields. Mordio's now on the run. Be a little bit of a root up. I think that might be getting close there, but Wild Growth having to be used as well. Bullet time across the few. Trevor, though, able to stay a likable auto-time smack. Shield comes out. Mabud ready to try and clean up. But Meech and Winston say, listen, work on the lower end. Meech with the 4-shot takes out Ivano's life. And Mabud now caught in the crossfire. This is not looking good for Winthrop as Winston quite literally is holding off a majority share of Winthrop. Mabud running now towards the hills. I believe had teleported into the rougher spot, and Anime Girl getting a little bit of revenge for that 2v1. Actually got stuck on the Hextech gate, I believe, and yeah, thumbs up. Knew that happened. IMT AOE take a very nice team fight.
Orbital, is it safe for a color caster to come out now? Or should I just pack up and go home? Don't get me wrong, I love watching this. This is beautiful. This is a mechanical piece for the eyes. We saw it with Ivano and Shochi. We're now seeing it across almost every single role, but we're not seeing the compositions get the things that they're looking for. IMT AOE, they've got so much pick potential with Shochi, with Meech, with Trevor, just like that, but it's never quite executed quite right.
Oh, that's the cue, and Winston says, listen, Shochi, you gotta land those cues, man. I'll show you how it's done. That is gonna be the 5th for the Lee Sin player, Winston, the other player on IMT AOE that we are kind of watching, absolutely showing up here.
And that's Baron for them right here. Keep in mind, this is Hextech map, so Mabud could theoretically get there in time, but they don't have vision, and without Kenji, it's so scary. Mordio
really wanted to go for it, but I think that's going to call it off, though. They're going to keep going. Again, 4.5k left. And with the root and the damage, I think that should be a clear indication of Bono want to chip away, but can't land the chain. And now Winston's actually on the hunt. I don't think anything should come of this, but 5 members strong with the Baron. Feeling real good about this game number 2.
Dragon Nyx on the chopping block here. Shochi has TP as well, so IMT AOE, they're gonna be 5 strong for this, and Vex is just pushing the top side there, trying to get the bouncy gold. You know what? It's probably the right call at this point when you're this far down, when you just lost Baron. Get as much lane pressure, buy as much time, get objective bounties here, but Orbital Winthrop, for goodness sakes, finally I get to talk about what they should be trying to do with their comp. They picked the Camille and the Misfortune for that Hextech ultimatum into bullet time. We've not seen it a single time this game.
Oh, the turnaround. Shochi able to pick up Mordio, who again was one of the majority members that was trying to force this game, was one of the reasons why this game was actually extending a little bit longer. Into AoE though, say, no more, you don't have a support, you don't have a jungler. Take the rightful inhibitor.
What they have is an enemy with Baron buff and a wave pushing in the open bottom side of their base here. Ivano still chasing Anime Girl, and even if you get the kill, you might lose your base.
Yeah, it's gonna be really rough, and down goes the Misfortune. This is looking like game over. Mabud trying for a Hail Mary, but Hail Marys only work once in a while. This time it doesn't. Winston padding on the stats, 8, 1, and 7. For maybe a few more. Mordio jumps straight to the back line and says, I get the kill, run away, run away, run away. And Winston's like, get back here. I'm going to try and do something here. We land the Q. That is the question. Duel of the junglers. So remember, Mordio actually does a bit of isolation, and he dodged the Q, but
doesn't matter.
He should finish it off because the base is going to be annihilated. Kenji a bit more. The base is down in IMT AOE.
Oh, no way.
Repay game number 1 in spades. You're now tied at 1-1 into game 3.
36 kills total, Orbital, in 25 minutes. You wanted more blood.
Yes.
They delivered. The rivers ran red, and even to the very bitter end orbital, it was a slugfest. It was a mess of a show between everybody just hopping and hopping out. Did they have to push the end right there? Not that way. They could have reset, played it clean. But IMT AOE, like you said, I think their blood's up after game 1. They were not happy, and they needed to clean off their reputation, the stain on their honor there. And they went in. Congrats, Winthrop. You've shown that Immortals do bleed. You've tested the name. Now the question is, can you survive their wrath? Game 2 did not go your way. There's still one more game, and winner takes all.
It's going to be so interesting. Again, the battle of the underdogs against the top seeds here has been brutal so far, and I can't wait to see it again. I called game 1 a little bit slow tempo. They said, all right, we'll amp it up just for you. And you know what? I have to say I'm satisfied. We'll go ahead, go to a very quick break. When we come back, we'll be ready with the analyst test to break down that game as well as get us ready for the final game of this series.